Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamer Dad channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So before I jump in, I just wanted to go ahead and say thank you to all of you, everyone who's been engaging in the videos, commenting, watching them, whether or not you click the like button or dislike button, whatever it is you're doing to continue to engage the division as a whole. I really just wanted to say I appreciate you guys so much. Today we also have another video in the format of one of our last few videos where we're looking at a comment from an audience member regarding the subject matter of PvP across the division as a whole. You know, if you kind of want to put things together, there's a lot of broad context. The Division 1 and Division 2 have had PvP, but there have been shortcomings in the eyes of everyone. Everyone has had something that they wished the PvP would actually include to allow for a more robust experience. And these are from people playing PvP and even from some people who are playing PvE that want to sometimes come into the PvP environment for a few things. So with all of these in place, please we have to recognize that there will be different opinions, there'll be different frame of minds, and so all it is someone else's opinion. So I think we already are respectful nonetheless, and we just give our own arguments in support of or counter to. So today, there's a comment from one of our audience members, pretty much saying that, you know, something regarding the entire premise of PvP. And I think I like this argument. So the Mongo Network here basically said something regarding, you know, the Dark Zone in my last video that I made. He said you could easily fix the issue about Dark Zone, you know, basically by strictly making Heartland a PvP title and make the content for Division 2 and maybe Division 3 PvE story driven. Now, the reason that, you know, this agent is actually saying this is they're saying PvP is too toxic anyway, and a lot of people still playing this game are probably hanging on like a badge of courage because that's all they have while, you know, everyone else has jumped ship. I mean, I think that's subjective, you know, but again, like I said, it's, you know, his personal opinion. And even though I may have a slightly agreeable argument for that point, the second half, I may have a counter argument. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at this. So should Heartland be a strictly PvP experience? You know, honestly, I think that should be the case at this point. And I say that, you know, not because I'm sitting here wanting to grind more PvP or something, but that's because it allows for the opportunity and the freedom for the developers to be able to build a PvP experience from ground up. Many of you may not have noticed this is the first time in the entire Division history that I've ever taken a softer stance in favor of Division PvP. People who followed me forever have known that I do not necessarily enjoy the premise behind the PvP, but that stance has been something that over the years of interacting with hundreds of people, I've eventually started to say, all right, I guess there is a side where some people actually enjoy this PvP experience, and I have to put myself in a position where I see it from their own perspective. I'm a stubborn head, so forgive me if it took me this long to learn this and at least, you know, start to take this kind of position, but this has just personally been my own stance. And so, in fact, today I was running with, you know, one of the content creators here in our community, Mr. Kamikaze Von Doom. I caught him randomly in the PC Dark Zone, and also another, you know, content creator as well as an agent here, Mr. Monkey Meat. And what's funny is we engaged in some PvP and we laughed about it, and I accidentally was trying to capture some footage on this build that we were talking about, and I shot a rogue and the rogue died. And I said, oh my gosh, there's video footage of me actually shooting a rogue. Do you know what this actually means? This is going to be a big issue because people are not going to believe their eyes and they're going to think something else. And we were just making, you know, a jest of me and my stance. And it's really interesting to see how sometimes I'm just in a position where I'm going to run up on someone and try to just take them down if I, you know, if I'm in the mood. But nonetheless, I think the reason more than anything, it's not just for the excitement, is that there is that opportunity for Ubisoft Red Storm to build core systems that would not necessarily be tainted by the PvE side of this game. You see, the Division is heavily PvE. You do PvE in the open world, and then you can do PvE in the Dark Zone. Anywhere you turn, everywhere you look, there's PvE, and there are PvE elements everywhere. It's the way the game has been designed. I think Ubisoft Massive may have perhaps favored, you know, their audience as a PvE select group, people who enjoy the PvE in the game, and they kind of realized that they didn't want to really focus too much of their resources and premise of their game on PvP. So that's why the game is designed in such a sense where the PvP is a soft portion of the entire game. So this is basically what we're seeing. Now, when you kind of think about it, wouldn't it be nice if they actually had a particular game where they emphasized more in terms of the PvP, more in terms of kind of like, what that system can look like if it was autonomous in its own right, and just flesh it out fully where players can actually go in there and enjoy that experience, so that experience controls and drives itself. It drives its own rules, it drives its own ideas and all of that, and it will really make sense. Now, I get it. The Dark Zone is a unique experience, but we don't know if there's a Dark Zone in the Division Heartland or not. And I don't know if that's something that the developers are planning on doing. The Dark Zone, I think, is probably a unique idea to the Division itself. So even, my audience member that actually, put the comment that's driving this conversation, I would counter and say, if we want to make the Division a strictly PvE narrative, content, I think the Dark Zone has some sort of a core identity to the Division where we can't necessarily just leave that side of the game alone. So it would have to have a Dark Zone, and so there will have to be some level of PvP to the game, even if it's casual like the DZ that we have, because I consider the DZ some sort of a casual Dark Zone experience if you were to ask me. But I do think, though, that yes, Heartland is the opportunity for them to be able to do this. Now, they could also do some really cool things in terms of how they can create some sort of a platform where players can jump into, say, Heartland, just the way, you can jump into Conflict and some of these other, PvP modes in Division 1 and Division 2. But instead of having to deal with that, if they were to go ahead and make a Division 3 game, is they could actually have that available, so players can say, okay, if you want to go, enjoy a different experience that has a PvP emphasis, you could go into Heartland, which is already a free package, and you could just use one main menu to just kind of make your way there. And so, it's a very huge conversation, because some may say, Heartland definitely should have a PvP experience, but shouldn't there be some dynamic aspect to it, since it's a Division game set in a different world? Shouldn't it have its own narrative and all the above? I agree, that's possibly something that needs to happen. But again, at the end of the day, even if they want to mix it up with a few elements that may not be PvP, it still has to have that core identity of PvP in order for that community that enjoys that aspect of the game to be able to just take their time and figure out exactly what the Division PvP should look like, while Massive, which already and automatically their strong point is already in the PvE game, regardless of what you say or what you think, the PvE in the Division is kind of stellar for what it is. And I think they can focus on that. And I think we may be able to have ourselves a really solid organization. Like, the synergy is probably going to work if it's executed correctly. And in my mind, I think to myself, just from inference, what is, Heartland even doing in this equation, if not to at least come in and alleviate the problems of PvP, which is the mode in this game that has had some of the majority of the issues. If you think about it, when you kind of look and see where are most of the issues in the Division, if you were to kind of keep score, you'd find out that it's in the player-to-player interactions in many cases that have had issues. And I think one of the reasons we're seeing those issues is because the game is heavily balanced in a strange way around the PvE activities. Weapon damage, the skills, the talents. You could make a skill and a talent that probably works in, PvP by itself that may not be necessarily too effective in PvE, but when you run in the Dark Zone, even though you may meet agents in the Dark Zone, there's only a limited number of agents that you can encounter compared to a number of NPCs that you'll encounter. So that already kind of skews your build, idea. Say that was like, and think about it. If one talent could do the job of both taking care of PvP and PvE, situations and scenarios, you'll more than likely pick that talent in your build and just go with, that particular talent rather than go with one talent that is just unique to PvP experiences. Overall, we can see a lot of talents that actually move that way. And so the devs have had to find a way to kind of make their talents somewhat ubiquitous and generic in some of their builds so that you can apply it to multiple things. And I think if Heartland actually created its own library of gear items, weapons, and talents, that would really resonate there. But I think we can continue this conversation on another, video, because this video is already stretching long. But I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. You guys are quite amazing. Thanks for all your support. Peace out.